That Lions fan, that Lions season ticket holder, as well as his attorney, they're expected to hold a press conference, and that will happen right around 1 o'clock this afternoon, in which they will detail this $100 million lawsuit and exactly what happened, what led up to this. It does claim defamation of character following that altercation in the stands here at Ford Field during that Steelers game back in December. And that altercation between Ryan Kennedy and Steelers standout DK Metcalf, it did make national headlines, and it was played over and over again. It does allege that Kennedy made racial and derogatory slurs at that time, something that he has adamantly denied, setting off Metcalf during that and allegedly leading to an assault. Those claims, though, they were repeated and published by some major media outlets and even overheard on a popular podcast featuring NFL legend Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Now, a number of people now listed in that $100 million lawsuit. We did speak with the local attorney who has no connection to this case, but is offering some insight. Here's what he had to say.
Regarding Ford being sued, we talked a little bit about that before we came on. Ford would have had to foresee that there was going to be this assault. You're not going to be able to prove that Ford knew that that was going to happen or was negligent in some way. That's my opinion based upon the law.
Now, Kennedy says that he has received hate mail, that he's gotten death threats, and that the situation has damaged his business reputation. Again, he's expected to hold a press conference at 1 o'clock this afternoon. At that time, he will detail this $100 million lawsuit and exactly what he is hoping to accomplish through this. Of course, stay with us right here at Fox 2 News for the very latest.
So I'm back. So I want to talk about the video you just saw. If you an NFL fan, you definitely didn't already heard about this. This obviously happened a couple months ago, where DK Metcalf had got into it with a fan, and it looks like he might have mushed him. It looks like, and then what some people know, but then some people don't, is that DK Metcalf had got into it with this fan before when he played with the Seahawks. So they kind of already had a history there. So you've seen the video. Basically, I forgot what the play was, but the fan obviously said something to DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf grabbed him and kind of mushed him. So afterwards, of course, the cameras caught it, which DK Metcalf should have knew his cameras everywhere. And I guess DK Metcalf's excuse was that he said something racist. That's why he did that. And then, of course, the guy saying that he never said nothing racist. Basically, DK Metcalf is crazy and he just went rogue. So that's where the battle is kind of at. So I wanted to talk about this because of the comments I've been seeing, because obviously, from Detroit. So, this is on Detroit news, local news, even though I don't know where the guy stays at. But, so, of course, this kind of hits home because it's the Lions and because it happened in Detroit. So people here been talking about it kind of more because it's been on our local news. So the comments kind of shocked me that everybody's saying, well, everybody agreed that this is the ultimate, this is the definition of aim high. When they say in a lawsuit that you should aim high, that way you can come down and be exactly where you want to be. So, his lawyer and him definitely did that. They done gave a lot of wiggle room. I guess that's what they wanted to do. But some people saying that he's still gonna get some millions, or he's still gonna get 2 million. I done heard some people say 2 million. Some people say 20 million. But we all agree he ain't gonna get no 100 million. But some people thinking that he's still gonna get some millions. And I actually disagree with that, and that's why I'm making this video. People thinking that he's going to get millions is crazy, and they saying that because of two reasons. One, because it's the NFL. So they know the NFL is $1 billion company, so they're trying to put 2 and 2 together and say, well, the NFL is $1 billion company, so they got the 100 million to give them. And then 2, they're saying that there's obviously video evidence. It obviously looks bad, so they gotta pay him, which I'm gonna get to in a minute. So my debate or my pushback on people saying that he's going to get some millions is this. Well, first let me say this. I do believe that he's going to get something. He definitely going to get something. The question is just how much. I say he pro- he probably get at the highest maybe six figures, at the most 500K, and I'll be shocked at that. But I do see a sense in somewhere between 50 to 500K, somewhere in that range. I see him getting, but it's going to depend on a lot of circumstances because one, to get out the way, why he not going to get no millions. It's obvious he didn't suffer no injuries at all. Like it's not like DK Metcalf broke his leg or arm or slammed him or like really beat him up. Now DK Metcalf would have pulled him off of the rail, like pulled him down and start beating the fuck out of him. Then yeah, we talking about something completely different. But him just grabbing him and mushing him, because what people don't understand about lawsuits is that you got to calculate these damages somehow. You can't just say because something happened to me, I want $1 million or 100. Like the ends got to justify the means. Like it got to add up. Like the pain and suffering, the medical bills, the what else? Missed time of work, lost wages, like all of that stuff is how lawsuits get determined. Like this dude not losing no wages, he not missing work, he didn't have to go to the hospital. Like there's not nothing to justify him getting $100 million, like people say and keep saying. And like I just said this before, look it up. People who then got into serious car accidents and got great bodily harm don't even get millions. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you know how hard it is and what justification you need to get millions of dollars. And then just because the company is worth millions don't mean nothing. Because if that's the case, you know how many times Walmart then got sued? Like, and Walmart ain't paying no 100 million to the people. They done lost lawsuits too. Workplace, for a perfect example, people who work for billion-dollar companies, McDonald's or wherever, and they get a workplace lawsuit, discrimination lawsuits, they don't get no millions. They might get six figures or something like that. But by the logic is that, okay, if I work for Walmart and I sue Walmart, since Walmart is a multi-billion-dollar company, they should have to give me 100 million. Like that's not how it works. And then there's even more damages then, because let's say if you work for Walmart and this wrongful termination, then you get to sue for lost wages, back wages, future wages, maybe pain and suffering. Like there's a lot of stuff that you can sue for that would equal up to that. It makes sense once you start calculating all the money you lost and back wages and future wages and stuff. And you still ain't gonna get nowhere near 100 million. So it's just like the the math not math, and it's not making sense what people talking about. Like there have to be damages. And then this is what we know too, is that the NFL, that's another thing. Because well, I'm getting to that next about the whole the NFL being popular and them wanting to settle. So you forget that the NFL is gonna have $1 million lawyers. They gonna have a team of lawyers. They not gonna just bow down. Like, they're going to have a bunch of lawyers who going to try to fight this and get out of this. And then the important part is what the lawyer from Michigan said, you all seen in the video, is that for him to sue the NFL, he got to prove that the NFL knew about this or was held responsible for that. Like, because that would be unfair. You can't just sue somebody because they work at a company and y'all get into it. Like they have to be in the scope of their employment. And crazy enough, I done been through this before. I can't talk about it, right now I can't talk about it. But no, seriously, I done been through a similar situation where I had to prove the scope of employment. And how that works is that you gotta prove that it gotta be something either like, which I guess can kind of work in his favor a little bit, like you have to be the person had to be like on the clock in uniform. It could have it had to happen at the job, because you can't fight somebody. Like let's say somebody work at a Fortune 500 company and y'all get into a fight on the street and you try to sue the company. Like that's not gonna work just because he worked there. Like it had nothing to do with the employment. The only good thing in this kind of situation is that it was the NFL game. He did have his NFL uniform on. It was televised on NFL. It was televised on TV as an NFL sporting event. So technically, he was at his job. But then it's gonna kind of get tricky, the scope of employment, because this is basically the same as somebody come to a store. Let's say somebody come to Walmart, and then a person get into a fight with a Walmart employee. Like they start exchanging words and get into a fight, and then a person sues Walmart. That's basically kind of what this situation is, and it can kind of it can work. It gets tricky because this is the thing. Your number one thing is, what do the NFL rule book says? If the NFL rule book states that players can't have contact with fans, which I think it do, because they was talking about this. I forgot the exact reason, but if it is something in the rule book that says NFL players can't touch fans, NFL players can't get into altercation with fans and grab them and stuff, then the NFL actually is going to lose, because player went against their rule book. Like they got rules in place for that, and then the employee ignored that, so they can be held liable for that. So that's the point. That's where stuff kind of get tricky, to where he might have a case and he might have a lawsuit. But his biggest case is this, and this is why I say he is going to get something that's not going to be frivolous, thrown out lawsuit, because he got the power of it being on TV and outrage. And we know most cases settle, and most cases like this settle because of bad publicity. You know how the NFL is. The NFL don't want to look bad. It's kind of similar to the story of, I don't know if y'all remember, this happened. I think she was from Michigan too. We getting all the crazy stories, but what's her name? Dake DeMoss or something. She's a female rapper that weighs like 500 pounds, 600 pounds, and a Lyft or DoorDash, no, Lyft or Uber was picking her up, and the driver refused to let her get into his car because he said that she weighed too much. And she sued DoorDash, and they did settle. We don't know how much they settled for, but they did end up settling. So like situations like that do happen because of bad publicity, the cost of fighting, and this is the number one reason, if you look it up, um, why most people settle is because of the cost of litigation, because they look at it like this: okay, is it better to fight this and it might cost more than it costs to just settle? Like, let's say that we can get this person 10, 20,000 to go away versus having to fight this, the time and the money that's going to cost us 40, 50, $60,000. Because we know that attorneys is expensive, billing by the hour, it do add up. So that's why most cases settle, because it's just cheaper too. Like, and it's a messed up way, but you can look it up. Anybody that know about lawsuits know this. Like, a lot of times it's just cheaper to settle. Now, in this case, it's not going to be cheaper to settle, because like, I don't even think Diddy, like, criminal lawyers don't even spend 100 million. So that's where he kind of messing up, to where like they will fight it to the end if it results in this much amount of money, like millions. Like, there's no point of fighting it in that case. And then I wanted to bring up the Shannon Sharp, because I know Shannon Sharp paid that girl 10, 20 million. You like, what damages equal that? And why is that? That's because Shannon messed up that case himself for two reasons. One, because it was the rumor, and I think they said that it was true, that he offered the female $10 million off rip. So once you already offer somebody something, that's the base. You can't go back, especially if it was in writing, which I'm not sure what, but it was that huge rumor. And I'm not 100% sure, but they was acting like there's some truth to it. That's where he messed up, for offering her something in the beginning. Because once you offered her that, it's on paper. It's like, okay, you already offered her some money admitting to settlement. Then two, like everybody said, Shannon wanted to hurry up and settle and get it out the way, because he thought he was going to go back to ESPN and it was ruining his sponsorship. So he just wanted to hurry up and get it over with. And it ended up biting him, in the ass, because ESPN still let him go. And then he looked crazy for giving a woman 10 million when he could have fought that, and he would have definitely gave her less than that. There's no reason to justify that. But that's what happened, because that's what happened with the settlement. It's all about risk, and it's a lot of factors that goes into it. Now, so what's going to end up happening in this situation? Because, like I said, the NFL knows that it looks bad, you know, it looks bad on the fan. This is just one of them to where, just like the DoorDash situation that I gave y'all, to where they gonna give them something to, make them go away, so this won't have to go to trial, so they won't have to fight it and do all of that extra stuff. Like, that's what it's gonna come down to. That's why I said it can be anywhere from 50K to 500K. I don't believe, like, for 100 million, that's enough to, we get to millions. Companies and people think, okay, we might as well take it to trial. Like I said, Shannon Sharp was different because he needed to hurry up and get this out the way so the bad publicity won't be there. The NFL don't have that much. Like, they don't like the bad publicity, but this is not stopping the ratings. Like the Super Bowl, Super Bowl coming up. The Super Bowl still about to make millions, still about to be good. The NFL ratings didn't drop because of this. That's what I'm saying. Now, if it was so egregious that the NFL ratings started to drop, then that's when they would try to make them go away and all of that type of stuff. But it's not that serious. They will, they'll fight this before they pay them 100 million, because they know the damages don't equal nowhere that. And I think he know that. Like, if we being serious, like the dude know, and his lawyer know that too. They aim at high, hoping that they can settle somewhere, lower. But to me, I still don't think that's going to be some millions, because how can they justify that? They have to really want them to go away, or it would have to go to trial, kind of like the famous McDonald's lawsuit, where I think the woman got 2 million or 5 million because of what is it, punitive damage. And that's only and that only comes from punitive damage. That means that they think that the NFL was malicious or negligent in everything. And in this case, it's going to be hard to prove that also. So, no, it's looking crazy. But, I can't blame him. I can't knock the hustle, like, starting high. But he should have kind of been more realistic, started at 1 million, 2 million, but it is what it is. So I see them. Of course, it's going to be announced, but it's going to be a settlement. This not going to go to trial. Of course, like this type of case, the NFL not going to let this go to trial and drag on and stuff. There is going to be a settlement eventually. It's just about how much. Now, the dude could be, bullheaded and his lawyer and say, we're, try to call their bluff and take it all the way to trial. But, that's risky. Then it's like, is it even worth it for real? So, yeah, I see this settling. Of course, we know settlements is um non-disclosure, not gonna be able to be talked about. So we ain't gonna never know truly how much he got. Um, but like I said, I doubt it. I doubt it be some millions, but I could be wrong. So that's just what I want to point out and say, like, because it's like a lot of people not understanding how lawsuits work, that damages is a real thing, that you do have to prove this stuff. And most of the time people do settle because the cost of fighting it is higher than the cost of settling. This case, obviously not one of them. And just to get it over with for bad publicity, but nobody cares about bad publicity enough to pay $100 million. Let's be real. And I'm out.